Hey, thank you for joining us on this pod. And in this episode, we want to talk about what our DNC decided this week when they reject a resolution condemning AIPAC influences, which a lot of us just thought to be fucking bizarre and proves how out of touch they are with what's happening in the Democratic Party, not only in the state of Indiana, but across the country. And of course, this is the DNC. So, what do you expect? So, join me and Sierra in this pod as we try to break this down and make it make sense. So yeah, pretty bizarre, isn't it? That's what they decided. I
I
mean,
think
because
it is.
you're for APAC money and I'm for APAC money, so hey, that must be what those Democrats are for, right?
I
I mean,
think
it's
it
just
is fucking insane. And I just want to remind people just really quickly, because it's not common knowledge, that again, the pro-Israel lobby is just a loose coalition of organizations and individuals who try to, it's not coordinated, but they try to steer American foreign policy in the direction of Israel, a pro-Israel direction. So, by that definition, it is insane to me that we would have the Democratic Party say that they are not going to denounce the spending in their primaries from an organization whose stated mission is to direct American foreign policy in a pro-Israel direction. That is fucking insane. If it was a
Mhm.
pro-Iran direction, the DNC would not have taken the same thing. So like this is fucking crazy. It's also crazy because again, Democrats, they stand on democratic values and are trying to stand up and fight democracy against the fascism of Trump, which I agree, Trump fascist. I agree. But
Mhm.
85%, 84% of Democratic voters do not support Israel. We are starting to see a trend of people supporting Palestine and Palestinians over Israel and Israelis. And that is super telling that when you are seeing polls where 84% of voters in the base are saying they are not in support of Israel, and so you take a vote saying that you will not denounce AIPAC spending in your primaries, and you will not consider any legislation that criticizes Israel or talks about taking away military support for Israel, financial military support for Israel. That is
And
insane
this
to me.
is yeah, me
16% is
too.
who you decided to side with, essentially. You
Right.
said, fuck the 84%, 16% of the base is more important. Who do you think is in that
Hmm.
16%? Could it be the
Right.
donors?
Mhm. But that's we don't have any other country uh, uh, in our verbiage, in our voices, on our lips, in our thoughts, like we do Israel. Israel is the only country that we do the things that we do. No other country we do this. Do we give other aid to other countries? Absolutely. We try to help out everyone we can because that's what democratic thoughts democracy will do, is to help people. We're here to to lend a hand where it's needed and to help those who are struggling and that need our help. That's what we should be doing. But there's no other country that is at the level that Israel is at, period. There's no other country where the question continuously is asked, well, don't they have a right to survive? I mean, it's mind-boggling to me. And the fact that the DNC took this position, uh, Sarah, I try to struggle with adjectives sometimes because it's just fucking bizarre that they would take that. But on the other hand, it's not surprising because we know on the state level and the national level, but just as much on the state level, that's who these fucking people are. That's who these, we have discussions with people online and in social media who feel the exact way that the DNC does. And yet we know, we know that the majority of us do not feel that way, and we're trying to change it. But they're just sitting back, with like their thumbs up their ass, saying, "Well, we're not going to denounce it." APOC or APAC is you know, it's a good thing.
Then you have like ghouls like fucking Alyssa Slotkin in Michigan who get out and say things like, are you saying that the pro-Israel lobby is any Jew who donates money? Because as a Jew, I'm offended. No, ma'am. Literally, no one said that. Do I think that
She
a
said that.
Jewish man in Indianapolis who donates money to Bo Bai is part of his Israel lobby donors? No, that's insane. I'm not an anti-Semite, you freak. Um,
Right.
I I am counting though Deborah Simon and Herbert Simon and Mark Rowan, who happen to be some of the top donors to AIPAC. Do they happen to be Jewish? Sure. There are a lot of Christians who also donate to AIPAC. It's not a religious thing, it is a political ideology thing. And your political ideology is Zionism, and I am against that. So
Yeah.
it is insane to me how Alyssa Slotkin can come out, oh, anti-Semite. Are you fucking kidding me? Like we are past this brain dead logic at this point when someone says Israel and you call them an anti-Semite, and you are also actually creating problems for Jews who are facing real anti-Semitism because it is on the rise on the right. It is very much on the rise. The manosphere. I was just watching a documentary inside the manosphere with Louis Theroux, and they were talking about the conspiracies that these men have, that the world is against you, that there's this satanic cabal of individuals who control everything, and you have to get yours because everyone else is getting theirs, and that's what it means to be a top G alpha male in this society. And so, of course, yes, I know, right? Roll your head or roll your eyes.
Jesus
So
Christ.
then, like,
Yeah.
Louis pushes on that a little bit, of course, and he's just like, who's the satanic cabal? Just like, who is it? Push a little bit. Oh, it's the Jews. They rule everything. It's the Rothschild. There is real virulent anti-Semitism on the right. There are people who are saying that world Jewry is what's causing the war in Iran. If you think world Jewry is what's causing the war in Iran, you have lost the fucking plot here. It's not Jewry, it's not Judaism. That's disgusting. This is a beautiful religion that actually teaches that you ask questions, you question authority, you fight injustice. So for that to be weaponized and called an anti-Semite when I'm saying that a bloody genocidal regime who is corrupting and co-opting a religion should be stopped, and you call me an anti-Semite, you are giving actual anti-Semites a fucking pass. When we are seeing an Alyssa Slotkin or a Mallory McMurrow who are, disavowing Abdul al-Sayed in Michigan right now for talking to Hassan Piker, when there are actual candidates on the right who talk to the likes of fucking Nick Fuentes, and you're going to say that these two men are the same? These two men are not the same. One is telling young men that their entire problem in the world is Jews and immigrants. And the other one is telling you it's the corruption of rich assholes and the establishment who are constantly trying to keep you down because a percent of 1% of wealthy people want to continue to benefit off of the rest of us. So when the left comes and says we need a Joe Rogan of the left, we need someone to speak to these young people, you don't want that. You want a corporate person to speak to these young people and get them to buy your corporatist bullshit that we just aren't buying anymore. So
Well,
this is
first off,
not where their base is.
yeah, that documentary that you spoke of, we have to provide the link, and I need to watch that, but we'll provide the link so people can go and watch that because you've talked about it, on the side and here, and it sounds something like I need to listen
It's
to.
insane what these young people think.
Alyssa Slotkin lost my respect over a year and a half ago, and I can't remember exactly what the statement was she said, but I saw right then and there who she was and what she's about. She's one of these, what I like to call dinos, or whatever. She's not a good representation of our party. She's one of the problems that's in our party. And as far as Nick Fuentes goes, um, keep in mind Nick Fuentes, and I'll try to pull up the little clip and share it here in this reel. When Roe v. Wade was overturned, Nick Fuentes got out and said, "Your body, my choice. And then he fucking laughed about it.
Feel when you're totally not pressed. The feel when we control your bodies. Hey, bitch, we control your bodies. Guess what? Guys win again, okay? Men win again. And yes, we control your bodies. Hi, I'm your Republican congressman. Hi, I'm your Republican congressman. It's your body, my choice. And men, women again. Men win again. There will never, ever be a female president. Never. There will never be a female president ever.
That right there is everything you need to know about who Nick Fuentes is, okay? So, and Piker, it's amazing the airtime that he's getting. He obviously it, when you see like Mamdani and Piker, people like that being talked about so much on the right. Why is that, Sierra? Why do they talk about them so much?
Because they are socialists and they are popularly and beautifully, I think, articulating socialism and socialist policies, anti-imperialist policies, and doing it in a way that is making it seem cool, honestly. Like, I mean, when you
They are
have,
a
yeah,
huge threat to the MAGA
yes.
ideology.
And
They
because
are a
like Hassan
huge
Piker
threat to them.
is I mean, he looks like a manosphere dude. Like, I know that this sounds, but he looks like the part, right? He's got the beard, he's very buff, he goes and works out, he plays basketball, he posts all the pictures of him working out and playing basketball, and yet you will also see him on the stream with like a puka shell necklace and black nail polish and like say the most progressive
And,
things and like,
and nerdy ass glasses.
yes, that people will roast him for because how much they cost. They're like, "Oh, Hassan, you want to talk about socialism, but that's like $1 million glasses you're wearing." And
Yeah,
he's just like,
yeah,
"Okay."
yeah.
And like, yeah, I live in capitalist system. That doesn't mean I have to simp for it, but yeah,
Right,
I
right.
mean,
Yeah,
but like, it is
but
just insane to me that the lengths that these people will go to disavow a Hassan Piker and they won't say anything about a literal fucking genocide taking place. Cory
mhm.
Booker is going to say some stupid ass shit about how I would never be caught
Fuck that
dead
guy.
on the Hasanabi broadcast. Bro, you wouldn't be invited to the
Right.
Hasanabi broadcast. Let me tell you, as a
Yeah.
viewer of 10 years of Hassan Piker, we don't want to see your face on the fucking Hasanabi broadcast. Trust and believe we don't want to see you there. But I saw you hiding behind a curtain with Benjamin Netanyahu. That was a
Hmm.
man you were willing to sit in a room with. A literal
Right.
fucking war criminal and genocide heir, but someone who says that maybe we shouldn't kill children around the world and maybe we should end the blockade on Cuba that's crippling them. You're going to look at him and be like, that's bad, dude. We should absolutely spend most of our time disavowing that and not focusing on the fact that there is a literal genocide taking place with our tax dollars. We're going to take votes that say we won't criticize that. We won't stop spending money on that. And we won't stop taking money from the people who are doing that. But fuck
Yeah.
Hassan Piker.
And we
Like
as a
these,
party will take the stance that we are not
and
going
then you want to
to.
know why 75% of Democrats do not have faith in their own party. They don't think that they stand for anything. They don't know
Don't
what they're
fucking
fucking
vote.
focused on. They
Yeah.
don't want to. And I'm
In
hearing from
Indiana.
from
Yeah.
people that I am not surrounded by political people. I have
Hmm.
friends in politics, but for the most
Right.
part, I hang out with normies who just like their eyes glaze over when I
Yeah,
talk
me
about
too.
the news.
Yeah.
And they look at me and they're like, Sierra, I love you, but I don't want to fucking vote. That shit is such a hassle. And to have to hold my nose and vote for the lessers of two evils, which I feel like, one of my friends said I've been doing since Clinton, I'm just not that into it anymore. I just don't care. And when you are seeing that kind of voter apathy, and then you see the DNC's positions they're taking, and you see that we are going to, and they'll send money to this. They'll spend more money on the Pentagon. They will get their money. The defense always gets their money. And Democrats will
Absolutely.
sign off on it.
Hmm.
And we want to know
Hmm.
why people don't seem to care that democracy isn't working, why people don't seem to align with the Democratic Party anymore, why the Democrats are saying, okay, but in Trump won, all it took was for us to say, well, we're not Trump. And everyone was like, shit, yeah, you're not Trump. I'm going with them. And now all of a sudden it seems round two, and they're like, hey guys, remember, we're not Trump. And people are like, yeah, Which, what are you? You're not anything
Yeah.
either. I mean, you're not Trump, but you're Trump light, so fuck it.
Well, I think that's why you see the popular movement on the Democratic Socialist Party happening, especially in our state
God,
and a lot of the chats that we are taking place in. You know, people aren't familiar with the Democratic Socialist Party, and that's fine. They can go ahead and create an ignorant narrative about it if they want to. But if you really dig into the Democratic Socialist Party, are they perfect? Absolutely not. I don't think any political party is perfect and never will be. Okay. I mean, that's a fucked up idea right there. But Democratic Socialists believe and the basics of humanity and helping people out, making sure that we have a fair wage, making sure that people that workers have are treated properly on the workplace. Where we in Indiana are now, we don't even keep track of minor work schedules and what they're doing. So this is what we're fighting against. So I think that's why you're seeing the popularity grow with the Democratic Socialist Party, because people want another chance. In Indiana, you mentioned, I think it's like only 43 or 44% of people vote, and the rest of them don't vote. And about, what is it, 25, 26, maybe 30% at the highest times are Democrats that vote. That's what kind of turnout we get. So where's the rest of the base? Where's the rest of the voting base that's not taking part in the elections? Why are they not taking part in elections? You know, why are we in
apparently
group
it's
chat?
because we don't have enough of a centrist candidate. That's what we need. Don't you know? That's what they keep telling us. We need a
That's all
more
we fucking have.
centrist candidate. If we got a centrist Democrat, then all of a sudden we'd start winning. That's what they think. They think we need a
Yeah.
centrist.
Well, just to get back a little bit, Democratic Socialists are not against the Democratic Party. In fact, we believe a lot of things with the Democratic Party. We just don't believe in the pansy ass approach that the Democratic Party has been taking for so long and has put us in the position where we are at. We demand certain things. We should not be negotiating with ICE budgets. We should be demanding abolishing ICE. We should not, you know, compromise and say, okay, 12.50 is a livable wage. No, the fuck it's not. $20 isn't even going to be, in most cases, a livable wage anymore with the
No, if
way
we
that
were
things are running.
intelligent, we would have a Congress that looks and says, so 725 across the board
Five.
obviously is not enough. There is no number that will fit across the board. They should be smart enough in our year of our Lord 2026 to come up with a formula that they could apply and say, so this is the federal formula. In each respective state, you need to be able to see what the lowest town is. So, like if in
Mm-hmm.
Indiana, the least amount it takes to live here would be 25 an hour, then in
Right.
Indiana, that must be the wage. It must be 25 an hour. In California, it's going to be vastly different because it costs a lot different to live there. And
Exactly.
I get that. But it should be not a state by state basis in the way that they say, where we just let the states have at it, Hoss,
Mm-hmm.
but where we have a formula that makes sense on a federal level, and then we ask the states to collaborate with us and do a little of that like federalism that they say that they like, that marble cake federalism they claim to love so much, where we
Mm-hmm.
collaborate and say, okay, so what can we do to make a livable wage? Because no, 12.50 an hour is not livable, and we are stuck as Democrats anchored to this 15, this fight for 15. And I even heard a Democrat say that they didn't want to give up the fight for 15 because then they'd have to buy new campaign and marketing things. And they already had a bunch of Fight for 15 marketing stuff made. And I just thought, how fucking out
Oh
of
my
touch are you that
God.
you're telling me
Yeah.
that I'm not going to get a dignified fucking livable wage in Indiana because you didn't want to go to Kinko's and print more shit? Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. I came unglued, and yeah, you've mentioned that before, and that to me is just bizarre to fucking think that I got to print new material because that's what I'm advocating for is 15. I mean, oh sorry, uh, but I got irritated in a chat the other day because it was, well, we have to work with the Democratic Party right now because that's the only avenue we have. No, it isn't. We have to create it. We cannot, let me expand on that. We have to work with the Democratic Party and just wait for the collapse to occur. Really, wait for the collapse to occur. How
But the
fucking
numbers
long do
that
we
you and I
need?
talked about earlier, when's
Yes,
the collapse?
yes. When is the collapse going to occur? And are you patient enough to wait for the collapse? And how do you know the collapse? I mean, that's just fucked up thinking. No, I came back and said, no, you don't have to wait for the collapse. You create the collapse. You start taking away brick by brick. And this is how you do it. And I gave a long, like this. And it was amazing because after I got done with my spiel and my things, that chat stayed crickets for almost 30 hours. There was nothing. I mean, no conversations whatsoever. So, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear it. But that's why we have to continue to speak up. And that's why when shit like this comes down the pipe, that the DNC says, no, we're not going to speak against AIPAC money. And, we're going to continue to let it. We have to let our voices be heard, because this is the fucking problem here. This is the core of why there are so many Democrats in this country, that progressives, that are just frustrated as fuck and want an alternative. And that's why we are drawn to people like Mandani and Piker and others, because they're speaking what we want to hear. Jackson Franklin, Jesse Brown in our state, Harrison
Abdullah Syed
Jacoba,
in Michigan.
Ben Davis. Yes, exactly. I mean, this is why we are drawn to these people, because they're speaking our language. They're saying what we want to hear, and they stand on that. They don't compromise from it. And that is what we need if we're going to make this collapse occur. So.
And I think it's just so interesting too, because you see the popularity of these kinds of candidates from the
Mhm.
base, and it's as if the DNC just wants to wholesale ignore this. Like, I was watching an interview with Abdullah Syed, and he was talking about a voter. He was discussing universal health care, and they very much disagreed. And he said it was kind of uncomfortable, honestly, but he stood on business. He told him what he believed. And at the end of the discussion, the guy telling him fervently what he believes. He said at the end of the discussion, at the end of the rally, the guy came up to him and was just like, "Here's a check for however much I'm donating to you, and you got my vote." And he was like,
Wow.
we disagreed. Like, you heard me disagree with you. I
Yeah.
still believe in universal health care, regardless of what you said. I respect your opinion, but I think that it is something we need to work for. And the guy was just like, "Yeah, I hear you, but you stood on what you believed in. You were willing to have a disagreement with me, and you were willing to tell me that you thought I was wrong, and here's why, and articulate your argument. And you weren't going to just sell me whatever you thought I wanted to hear to solicit my vote." And that means something to me. And so, like, that's a lesson to learn. In New York, Mamdani is filling potholes at a ridiculous rate that is causing people to actually care and turn their heads. And his entire point when he was asked in an Al Jazeera interview, he said, "I have to fill the potholes because, yes, childcare is important and we're going to focus on those things. You can walk and chew gum. But the problem is that how can I expect the average New Yorker to see that I've made a material difference in their life if they are going to work every day on their bike or in their car and they hit the same fucking pothole every day,
Mhm.
every day? How can I expect that the city will work for me on big issues like fixing childcare, fixing, rent and housing and electricity if I can't even fill a fucking pothole on your daily commute? If I can't even make a small difference like that, how can you trust me to make an actual difference in this city and make it great for us?"
Mhm.
And you just sit and listen to these people, and you're like, this is where the Democrats should be going. This is the
Right.
direction that the base wants you to move in. I want a dude who will unapologetically, or a chick, I don't care, unapologetically fucking stand on business on universal health care
Mhm.
and have a good civil discussion with you and fight you on the marketplace of ideas on why that's better. I want a dude who looks around and goes, these potholes, man, what's the deal with the potholes? Yeah, I want to give you universal child care, but I'm going to fix the fucking potholes while we're at it. Like, that is what we want.
Exactly.
And time again, we get these corporate Democrats who say stupid ass shit like, "Oh, I care about abortion rights. Let's codify Roe v. Wade. Let's do a livable wage. Let's do universal health care." And then they get into these places and they go, "Oh, geez, did you know the Republicans are a party that we would have to contend with?" Oh, well, there was nothing we could do. And they give up every time that they get a little pushback. And the thing that,
Yeah.
that infuriates Democrats that Republicans love about their own politicians is they don't see it that way. They see their politicians as always getting shit done. If they say they're going to come in and make the liberals fucking cry about some stupid ass policy, bet your ass they're going to do it. and they don't care who they smash in the way. They'll go over
which is
any
amazing.
fucking procedure, any fucking rule. They just treat it like it's nothing, and they will get what their voters want. I understand that that's not great. I'm not advocating for that necessarily, but sometimes if they're willing to smash rules to make it so that trans women can't play in sports, something that is like affects less than 1% of the population, are you
Right,
fucking kidding me?
right, right.
If they're willing to smash rules and norms and procedures for that and just no holds barred, do whatever it takes. Why can't we do that for universal health care? Why can't we do that for student loan debt like we wanted? Why did we let a fucking Senate parliamentarian stop us from the thing that we all voted for, from the thing that we were promised, and we were told, sorry, there's nothing we could do because some draconian law from fucking 100 years ago says no?
Yeah. The stupidity is alarming, and you can look at the data, but that's something the right doesn't do, because that, like you said, their main enjoyment comes from making libs cry or owning libs. And you have to look at the 118th and 119th Congress, which has been under the control of Mike Johnson, Moses Johnson, as I like to refer to him. They have been one of the least productive Congresses in our nation's history. The 118th was the least productive since the Great Depression, and they only were in session for like 3 months. And the 119th is now taken over as the least productive Congress in our nation's history if their
Because who's
trend
even
continues.
working in Congress? Other than
Right,
Thomas
right,
Massey and Ro Khanna right now, are there
right,
even other Congress people
right, right. But
in Congress?
the only policies that they have been able to pass, or bills, I should say, are against democratic values, against democratic ideologies. Those are the only things that they have managed to pass. That in promoting the wealthy in this country. Those are it. They have not passed anything that benefits American people across the board. Only destroying liberals or those on the left, which I guess is a win-win for those on the right, even though they don't fucking understand that when they create a policy that attacks us, it attacks all of us. And many of the policies that they have passed, which are few, are going to affect the Southern or the red votes in this country more so than what they are Democrats, because they're attacking rural communities. And that's where the base of he won 91% of the rural community vote in 2024. That's who's going to suffer. And the stupidity with these people is just fucking unreal. They hate us so much. They hate us so much that the only thing they have in their mind is what somebody has in their pants. That's their focus. It's alarming to me how many comments I get on my social media pages, because I get a lot of trolls. That's what they talk about. They talk about the genitals of people. That I mean,
I mean, yeah,
it's
surely.
always
Because
about
that's all
that.
they have. That's all they have
It's
are social
Yeah,
issues. They don't want to fix any of the economic problems. So all they have is social cannon
yeah.
fodder.
And they're ignorant to the fact that it's like it's I, it's not even a fucking issue. Okay, it's like you said. I think it's just over 1% of the population. And in women's sports, yes, it's lower than 1%. It's much lower than that. I think it's like 0.00083% of. I mean, it's just something fucking ridiculous. But that's who they are, because it's owning the libs, and that's ridiculous. And you know, when you see the DNC do shit like they just did, and go the direction that they just did, it's so disheartening. It's really hard to keep faith in what's going on. And that's why I've sought to different directions to build my encouragement up, and to put my thoughts behind, because this shit ain't working. You know, the Jeffries and the Schumers and the Cory Bookers and these motherfuckers, the Lee Slotnicks, all of these, they gotta go. They gotta go. They're not doing us any damn bit of good. So, and anybody who takes AIPAC money has to go too. It's just, it's not. That's not. We should be worried about ourselves, not some
I
foreign
agree.
country that we're obsessed with for some fucking reason. So, hey, thanks for joining us on this pod. We just wanted to talk a little bit about the DNC and their decisions about AIPAC and how fucking ridiculous we think it is. And I hope that we tried to make it make sense for you because we're still struggling with that. So, I'm Kurt.
I'm Sarah.
Thanks for joining our pod. Give us a like, a comment, follow us, hit that little bell on the top to get notifications from us. Have a great day and thanks for joining us.